It makes me think about that episode of Martin after he lost his job and he goes down to the unemployment
with Myra.
Yeah, and he's like, somebody might recognize me. You know, I can't take this job.
Talk about the brother Akon, and there's a clip of him talking about about working while chasing your dreams as a creative. So we can run that. And I want to see what you guys think about that, because I actually think he made some very good points, and I don't think people talk about this enough, especially in the instant gratification era. I don't think this gets brought up a lot.
Need money. And how you gonna make money if you doing and focusing 100% of your craft? This is the thing about artists. They feel like once they become artists, they don't need a job. You gotta have a job. Just get a part-time job to pay your basic bills, phone bill, rent. It's okay to work. We all gotta do it. Nobody gonna laugh at you if you flipping burgers. I was stocking groceries at Kroger's before I made it when I got out. I wasn't getting back to the streets. You need money.
Shout out to him saying Kroger's.
Kroger's with an S.
That's a Midwest thing. Is he from the Midwest?
He lived in St. Louis for a minute.
Did he?
Yeah.
That's where he must have worked at Kroger's.
No, we had no. He wasn't there when we had Kroger's.
Okay.
We had Kroger in St. Louis for a minute, but it was a long time ago.
All right.
But
I thought Kroger was definitely just like Indianapolis, Ohio.
I thought
St.
it was
Louis.
Midwest too.
no, they ran.
Payless.
Payless
was an Indiana thing.
Was it?
Yeah.
No, we had Payless.
Y'all didn't have what's Payless look like?
Payless
Describe
shopping stores?
Oh, I thought
Grocery store?
I thought you were talking about Payless shoe.
Nah, I was about to
thought
say
you
y'all
said
didn't have
Payless.
Payless.
Payless grocery stores were bought by Kroger because I went to school.
That
at
must have
one.
been that Anderson thing, because we didn't have Payless.
There were only so many of them. I was friends with one of the family that owned them. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
There's still one there too. Lone, you've been a creative for a while, buddy. Since probably since I've known you, close to the duration of our friendship. What you think about what he said?
Well,
I love that. Well,
we are not built as a society, even though art in general is something that we all enjoy. It's almost, you can make the argument that art is something that makes life worth it in all the different ways. You could say the art of watching film or enjoying music to some degree, or the art of recreational activities or whatever that is.
right.
My response to Akon is, yeah, in capitalism, you have to work because there's nothing set up for artists to actually be
Just be free to create and just go about your day.
It's not a thing. Like we don't put value on people that bring value to our lives.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Until they do something that society deems as valuable.
Till it becomes commercially viable for somebody to capitalize off of it. It's just kind of what it is. So I have to say that caveat because I think it's important, but there is nothing wrong with working and while you're pursuing something, because if you are working while you're pursuing something, it just means that you understand the game that you're in.
Good point.
And, I have a unique lifestyle to a lot of people. Is being able to teach in the field that I do and to do this stuff in the field and do a bunch of creative endeavor in my field. But not a lot of people are like me. Not a lot of people have the privilege to do the things that I do.
Yeah.
And so, granted, at the same time, when I was younger and I was coming up, I thought that there was one way that I could be a successful person in the music world, and that was just getting signed to a label or touring and doing that stuff. And then
that literally was the thought. We had those conversations back then.
That was the only thing. It was like we didn't see it as any other possibility. Now fast forward and, I look, my life in the last 15 years has been, yes, I've put out a lot of music. I've released a lot of music. I've worked with a lot of artists. I've never stopped being a full-time artist.
Right.
It's switched over from strictly hip hop to mostly instrumental related stuff, obviously, because I don't really rap anymore. The last rap I wrote was 3 years ago, and the last album I did was in 2018, 17. Yeah, I know, right?
Wow.
Hopefully that changes.
Yeah, maybe. But at the same time, like I started teaching music production in 2017. We started this podcast in 2018. We were doing Bringing Down the Band in 2009.
Yeah.
And that's crossed over into the creative world, and that's, showcasing music. I started a record label where I don't really do a lot with it, but it's enough to push, a little bit. So like from all these different avenues that I do, I'm able to sustain and continually grow and build up, and shoot, man, I like for a big record label, they got like millions and millions of followers on YouTube. I'm not going to say their name, but it's like I work with a creative design firm from one of my homies where I do project management with their creative design team to create all the short teaser videos and stuff that you do. So like,
See, the difference is
it's in that realm.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm still able to be in that realm. But even though I'm in this position to where like I can do all these things and I intentionally set my life up this way.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with having a job where you're doing something over here and you're making money, because even though this was my path and this is the path that I needed to take, this is not the path for a lot of people, because I did not start off on this path making a lot of money.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you've got kids or you've got like a lot of financial responsibilities out there, or you got crazy student loans, or you got crazy credit card bills,
This
or you
might
got
not be your route.
It may not be for you, but for me, I knew that this is what I needed to do for me. So I set my life up in this particular manner and I could do it. But there's nothing wrong with just working.
Yeah.
You know, like I did that early on, you know, for a very long time. So yeah, I don't know. That's what I would say.
It's unrealistic though for a lot of these artists to think that just because I'm an artist, I'm not supposed to do anything but my art.
Yeah. Right.
And it kind of affects your art in a way, because you can't really get it out how you want to, because you're stressed out about what you're going to do next, or you become this super finesser that meets women and flips your tax money and doesn't really flip the tax money,
season.
But you end up, you know what I'm saying, laid up with them, and then that's a whole nother situation. I mean, this is real life stuff out here, man.
You're not lying.
People go through this merry-go-round for years and years and years and think that it's okay just because you're saying that you're an artist or you're a rapper. A lot of people become complacent with being that because they don't want to do anything else but that. And essentially, some of them just aren't good enough to do that. Like, your situation is unique because you're actually making money from these things.
Right.
A lot of people are waiting for a show or somebody to put them on a bill in order for them to just get a couple $100 in order to kind of skate by, get a pack of cigarettes, 2 for $4 or whatever they're going to do, or kick a little money on shorty's bills that you're staying with that has a child. You know what I'm saying? This is just unrealistic and irresponsible. And I feel like in today's day and time, there are way too many avenues for you to make money to sit back and be complacent and say, I'm just an artist and this is the only thing that I'm going to do to get my money.
But I will also say, I will argue with that point. And I will say too, it's also because society does devalue artistry.
This is true.
Like I had a conversation with Andy from Indie City and Vinyl, Shotstart, one of our partners.
That's what's up.
And he was talking about Canadian artists. And I don't remember exactly, but I think it was about Canadian artists that he was booking. The government is involved in certain things in different places to where like they will pay artists to do stuff.
Yeah.
So like they're putting out records or they're touring different places. Like
they got healthcare.
It's something. Well, it's that too. But it's something. But it's like built into like, all right, cool. We see it sometimes here with like grants. Certain artists will get grants to do stuff, but it's a lot more prevalent in other areas where they put artistry ahead
because they want to add to the culture.
For sure. And so like we're just so far behind here that when we look at artists and we see them struggling out here to do these things, it's like we just do not value artistry here. We just want to commodify it. We just want to use it for our time, for everything that we're doing. And, you know, so those things are true. Everything that you're saying is true, Terry, but at the same time, it's like, I wish the conversation was more so like, how do we make it more equitable for those people around us?
Yeah, or
there's still personal responsibility involved in all these things, but
100%.
But it's like we're putting the onus on the person a little bit too much.
That's true. I think the problem here is we value the artistry. We don't value the time, energy, and effort that's put towards making it to a point where your artistry is readily available and welcome. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Because like we applaud the people that are doing their thing, but we're not helping them or pulling them up by their bootstraps, so to speak, because we don't like the struggle. We don't like that part of the story. We like the part where
we don't want to see how the sausage is made.
You've overcame, and this is your story now, and you've done all of these great things from your struggle. But we don't care about the struggle part. We only care about the struggle part when it's time to write your biography or make the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
jump in, Jay.
This is the thing, man. I'll speak from personal experience. Like during the day, probably about maybe 3 or 4 days, sometimes 5. We're at a restaurant. And it's been multiple times when people have come up to me and been like, I recognize you from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be like, I don't try to bring anything that I'm doing outside of what I'm doing at that moment. Right. It's like, oh, I saw you host this show.
Mm-hmm.
You're Take That Tuesday. I've seen your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And that never makes me feel any kind of way because I'm getting to the money.
Right. Yeah.
It shouldn't.
Right. Shouldn't at all. Shouldn't bother you at all.
And so like, there are some people who are like, well, I can't be working in a restaurant and cleaning people's tables while I'm supposed to be, an artist and I'm the star or whatever. Like, you have to humble yourself until whatever you're doing as an artist pays all of your bills. You have to keep it real. I hate saying keep it real because that don't mean nothing anymore. But you do have to humble yourself and say, well, this is what I'm doing now to get this money, because like there's no place for me to host a show at 11:30 in the morning. Right. So I got to go out here and take orders and bust tables.
Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with that.
And the thing is, like, if you know what I know, you can really get to the money by working in a restaurant.
Absolutely.
I'm thinking, wait a minute, I was working in corporate America and I was making the same thing. Like, it almost makes you mad. True. But at the same time, like, I can just speak from personal experience. It's like, look, if I was one of those people that felt some kind of ways, like I'm Jay Moore, I'm the host of this, that, and the third, and I did this, and then I'm blocking my other blessings and my ability to do things and live life because I think I'm too good to just go out and get a job because someone might recognize me. Like, it makes me think about that episode of Martin after he lost his job and he goes down to the unemployment
with Myra.
Yeah, and he's like, somebody might recognize me. I can't take this job.
Yeah,
that's when he ran into Angry Man. He told him to sit his ass down. Man, sit your ass down.
Nah, for real.
But I think that's where some artists' mentality comes from, because they feel like, well, they have to see me in that light. They can't see me in the light, and I'm in here asking you, can I get you something to drink while you're looking at your menu?
But some people are wired to, they'd rather be what you're saying, like be the person that's recognized and then sit in the crib with your power turned off or something.
Pride.
But I'm still the star. Like, I'm still the star, but when I go home, the refrigerator's empty and I got to figure out what bills I'm going to pay this month. There's people that will live like that for the sake of their ego.
There is a moment I went through that where I'm like, these people can't see me working at Amazon. Somebody might recognize me up. I had that mentality for a quick minute. I was like, no, I better get to this money while it's here.
I got responsibility, sir.
Me being Jay Moore only pays so many bills.
Exactly.
Hey,
me being out there my government name full on, which I'm not going to reveal here, that pays the rest of the bills. So that's Jay Moore and my full government name got to work together to make this thing happen.
Facts.
But at the same time, not that I disagree, I just think this is a very nuanced conversation.
It ties into what we talked about last week a little bit.
I don't even remember what we talked about last week. but it probably does. But I think imagine somebody like Odyssey. What if Odyssey came out and said that he had a part-time job doing something, like working at a restaurant? How would that make you feel?
I wouldn't make me feel any different.
To me, it would make me feel, why
is somebody who makes good music like that?
Why is somebody who is this successful?
Oh, I see where you're going.
Why can this person that is this successful, why does this person have to spend any amount of time doing anything other than the thing that they should be doing?
I see where you're going.
And to me, like, all right, cool, I can mostly create, I have the time to do that. But if I ask you, Mike, who has a full-time job, do you feel like you have enough time to really, let's say you could literally wake up and you made enough money from making music, do you feel like you are in that space?
No.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like you're there at all.
And I tell you,
in the sense of like having enough time to be able to. No,
I don't. And as a creative, I think you alluded to this a little bit when you were talking earlier. As a creative, that can be frustrating because there's tiers in your talent. Time enables you to reach certain tiers that you may not reach if you're multitasking. Right? For sure. Because if you have more time to hone your craft, obviously you might tap into 2 or 3 more chambers that you never thought you could get into because you have the time. Yeah. But that goes back to, the conversation about balancing and figuring out what's most important, because I'd love to have the time, but it's going to be an eviction notice. So you just have to make certain choices as a creative. And like you said, we've all alluded to it about there not necessarily being somewhat of a value or whatever as it relates to artists. But no, I would love to be able to just wake up every day and be like, okay, I'm going to allot this amount of time to working on something different. It's like basketball. I'm going to work on my left hand today, right? I'm just going to make 10 beats a day that are all piano beats, quote unquote, or whatever. Right. Like, that would be very refreshing. But
that's why youth is so important. And that's why people are always encouraging people that are the youth, young to essentially hone in on what they want to do.
Yep.
And take advantage of this time freedom that you have right now. Because once you get to a certain age, that time freedom just doesn't exist.
Once life start lifing. Once life start lifing.
First kid comes up. Once that wife pops up, you gotta, your priorities have to change as far as how you use your 24 hours.
But imagine if But imagine in the same sense to where like there was something set up to where like an artist, all you have to do is prove that, all right, cool, you're putting out a project. All right, cool, you're putting out the project and you're working with this other artist and it's reaching this many people and you're doing these things. Cool. I'll give you $5,000-$10,000 to do that project, right?
Yep.
And then you can adjust your life around that.
Facts.
But it means that you can actually allocate some time of your personal time to be creative, to put this stuff out into the environment, to the world that the people want.
Facts.
But instead, it's just late nights.
The rat race, or late nights, early morning. Like it's just that's it. That's a part of it.
That's what I advocate for. So I 100% agree with everything. But I agree with everything. But it's just like I want to change the narrative to like put more value on the creatives and the artists, and also like not just from an individualist standpoint, but also like put pressure on and the institution of the United States. And
we know what you're running on. That's going to be one of your running points. And
everything.
People are going to say that, he can't do that.
Yeah.
But this other person on the other hand can do everything he said he can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
That's America.
America.
Yep.